This is the Lost Man podcast, where we embrace the challenges and triumphs of being a modern man in the middle years. Join us as we explore the rugged path of growing older, wiser and bolder in a world that's constantly changing. I'm your host John.
And I'm Matt, and together we'll navigate this uncharted territory with grit, humour and a whole lot of heart.
Hello everybody out there and welcome to the latest episode of the podcast. My name's Lost Man John.
I am Lost Man Matty.
Indeed, and we are here in the original Lost Man HQ.
Yeah.
So where are we at? March has just started. We're heading towards that beautiful period that is spring.
Yeah.
And I have to say, coming over here is a joy. We're not quite there yet, but one of my, as you know, one of my favourite parts, like my favourite times of year, is that first drive to this very location when the lambs are in the field.
Yeah, the lambs.
It doesn't get better than that. I just love that. Just that bit just makes me feel great. So we are looking down the barrel of spring and summer, which is definitely a good thing. Today we're going to be talking about, we're actually going to be talking about all things cars.
All things automobile.
Yeah, which is a pretty cool subject. I think it feels like we've got a lot to talk about.
Loads to talk about on it.
Yeah.
Loads of little aspects to it. I think from a lost man perspective,
Yeah.
I think a good place where we'll start in a minute is kind of that like dick swingy kind of purchase of a vehicle.
Yeah.
I guess it's a real it can be a real, most basic tool needed for life.
Yeah.
Massive purchase waste of money.
Yeah, huge purchase. And in particular at the moment, you look at the price of them, but we'll get into it all.
We'll get into that in a minute.
If you, enjoy spending time listening to us, then hit like, hit share, tell a friend, leave a comment, do all the things that everybody else asks you to do.
Send us to your mate.
Yeah, send us to your mate. Whatever it is, because it really does go a long way, and it's nice to know that somebody is listening.
People are listening, mate.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I can't remember the statistics, but they are.
I don't check them that often, but our most watched video is 82 views, and our last video was 48 views, and
And then I think there's been we're definitely into triple figures of Spotify downloads.
Interesting.
That's just Spotify as well.
Interesting.
Not across kind of iTunes or wherever else people. It spits it out to everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's crazy to think that, isn't it? Because we do just literally. I called you up in a day. One of the days last week, we said, shall we talk about cars? And that was literally the prep that we did for this episode.
I think telling people that might think that we don't take it seriously. but I've been thinking about it. I think cars is a topic we talk about anyway a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is the premise of the Lost Man podcast, which was, a chat with your pal.
And I think there's something nice about just two blokes just freestyling it, no real, a little bit of an agenda, but
we have a plan. We have a whiteboard behind you.
Yes,
behind you, the viewer, the camera. Is a whiteboard with.
Yes,
but I put some thought into what we've got to talk about, and we've off. Come on, we're only episode 11.
Wait. What's that?
What's what? Jizzer.
Jizzer
is a degreaser. John.
Nice. Okay, cool. Swarfiga Jizzer.
Yeah.
Many laughs around the product development team.
I don't know why they did that.
No. Well, Swarfiga, what does that sound like? Is it
Schwarzfiga is... Don't they make like soap?
No, I know. They make that lovely kind of gritty green... mate, for the motor trade... mechanics use it. Big thing with Swarfiga.
Yeah. And Jizzer now.
Now Jizzer. So there you go. Shameless plug. We are not affiliated with Swarfiga Jizzer. And other products are available. But before we go into talking about cars, we'll spend a very small amount of time talking about how each other's week's been. And therefore, I must ask you that question, which is, how has your week been?
How's the week been? The week has been... This week's... I feel like I'm just going through the motions at the moment. Had half term.
Okay.
So not in DZ1, which was nice. That was week before last, and then this week just back into school. It always feels when you've had a week off that it just hits you that little bit harder. Do you find that? You know,
yes.
like back in, oh God, I've got all this stuff to do.
I do find that,
finding your flow a little bit.
Yes.
So back in school, school's fine. Behaviour is bad, mate.
Tell me about it. What's going on?
Behaviour is bad. I don't want to tell you about it because
it's too long. Yeah.
But the just general behaviour.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want a tiny violin.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Teaching young people can be challenging. But I'm saying this the most respectful and PC way possible.
Yeah.
But in an alternate dimension, there's lots of expletives right now.
Yes. Yeah.
And then other noticeable things to mention are van.
Yeah. Where are we up to with the vanage?
We're up
because we're oh right, I can see the money pit of hell over there on the door. So we've got a whiteboard on this side and the blackboard on that
I've
side.
got my money
so we're
pit
ticking all the PC boxes.
where I'm keeping track of the build cost for the van. The spend hasn't been too big recently because it's been lots of little jobs.
Yeah, what's that? 342. What's that for? Handbrake.
Yeah, so that was so swivel seat is in.
Yes.
So rust inside treated.
Yeah.
I don't know where last time I went through this with you. Rust inside treated.
It was then.
Swivel seat, driver's seat
and I do know that there was a malfunction / break with that.
Oh God, mate, it's such a ball ache.
Describe.
You'd think it would be a quick 4 bolts in, 4 bolts off, another 4 bolts in, another 4 bolts in, done.
Yeah.
Oh mate, it was on and off.
But ultimately
in,
right,
and did smash an electrical socket thing. Okay. Somehow up underneath the chair when I took it off.
Of the crafter or of the seat?
Of the seat.
Okay.
I think it's okay. It went in all right. It hasn't set on fire.
Why? Is there an electrical mechanism that spins the chair?
No, it's just for the heated seat. So, and then what else have we done? So that's gone in. And then the other thing that's going on is I started stripping the plastic panels.
Yes.
This is linked to cars. Plastic panels where they clip on the outside. They have about 50 holes in the van. Holes where they clip in. So direct sunlight through.
Do they have 50 pins as well that fill the holes, right?
Yeah, so you have to take it all off.
Yeah.
Either glue the clips on.
Yes.
Or you can buy these rubber grommet things that I bought.
Nice.
And you pop them in the hole to seal that hole up.
And this is all part of the insulation game.
This is part of not making sure the van doesn't leak, because if it rains a lot, it can get behind the trim and in.
Yeah,
if it's just a van,
it's fine.
Fine, but when you've got it full of stuff.
Yeah.
So that started doing that.
Yeah.
Huge ball ache of a job.
That sounds like the most picky,
annoying little job to do. But I know what I'm doing now with it, so it'll just be a case of
ping pong.
A little bit here, a little bit there, and then roof rack going on Monday.
Hectic. That's a big move.
That's a good. There'll be a good exterior.
And is it full framed
rack, light bar on front?
Nice.
Yeah, I know it's going to be sick. Super excited about that.
Useful and aesthetically pleasing,
and also lightweight because it's made from aluminium.
What is its weight?
Unknown, but I know it's very designed to be super lightweight. Some of them on their market are steel, heavy, whereas this is all these builds are all about keeping the weight down.
I'll have to send you. I know I've sent you a drive-by video of that van near me, but I'll have to get you the actual photographs of it because it is a beast. It is properly there. It's basically what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you actually what van it was, what its carcass is.
Probably, is it a Merc?
I don't know. I'll have to have a look properly. But
so that's me. What about you? What are you saying? How's your week been?
Good week. few bits have been going on with the day job, which has been good. So, well, it has been good, but it's basically somebody who started at the same time as me. So we've been there 3 months now.
Have you been beefing with people?
No. No. I have been a little bit tiffy at the moment recently.
What do you mean tiffy?
Just a bit tiffy, like a bit short-fused recently.
Yeah.
We had a little lovers and just a bit like that. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I'm tired and stressed.
Tired. It does do that to you, mate.
But this wasn't a beefy thing. This was somebody who I started with. So we've come to the end of our probation period, which I've passed, which was great. So that happened on Friday. Thanks very much. But unfortunately, this girl didn't pass, and it's
drama.
It's well, yeah, it is a little bit dramatic. And
has she been made redundant then?
She's getting you're gone in that circumstance. Yeah, but the problem is that
I tell you what, it's a fickle world, isn't it? You know, like coming from a public sector, working for a school. I mean, it's almost bulletproof.
Yeah,
like to the point I disagree with the fact that they can't fire shit teachers easily.
Yeah.
Like. It's almost ridiculous.
In my world, you haven't got a leg to stand on, like within the first 2 years. Your probation, you pass it and it means something, you know. So now I have to get given a 3-month notice if I got made redundant. Anyway, so this girl, woman, I should say, she's been made redundant, and it's similar to your caution around what you were saying with the kids at school. I'm going to exercise the same caution.
Exercise caution.
But understand that I can use lots of those sorts of words as well. And I think, ultimately it's the right decision. So that happened. Other cool stuff that's going on. Obviously, went to do that mountaineering course in the middle of the week.
Super badass,
it was amazing, ridiculous, up Helvellyn, and we learned all kinds of things. How to read the weather system, how to understand map reading, how to use a compass, just various different little hints and tips that aid you in the world of mountaineering and hiking.
Did you stop up there?
Yeah. So we got to the top of the mountain.
No, I mean, did you kip up there?
No.
God, you must have been knackered.
No, it was only 6 hours, and in terms of a hike, it was actually quite leisurely because we had the mountain leader and we'd go a little bit and then he'd stop and explain a load of things and then we'd carry on. But it was great. I'll talk to you about it when we got but it's like. Just loads of little interesting things that you never think about. Things that you've always seen and are kind of in your memory, but you never even think, oh, why is that there? And then also lots of things to not do, like on the mountains. Like, so for example, those little stone piles that you see that people...
Don't piss into the wind.
You definitely don't piss into the wind. but don't, those little those little stone piles that you see. I mean, you do get official stone piles. They're called cairns, and they sort of like wayfinding devices, but lots of people...
Just do it.
Do them, but they're taking stone away from the actual path. And those paths, so like, imagine any mountain in the world, and you've got those like paved paths up there, and you think, God, who does those? Well, they get done pretty regularly, actually. And just by volunteers, people who come out and they lug these stones up, mate. And they do it in the winter as well when it's not busy.
Helicopters.
Yeah,
they dump. Do you know that ride we did over Ladybower, from Ladybower over to the other reservoir? I forget the name of it.
It was Cutgate Pass.
Cutgate Pass, which is a bitch of a ride. It's a toughie, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just a slogger.
And also in winter, it's a slop fest.
Yeah.
Well, they've worked hard at trying to like unslop fest it a little bit, and I think they've dumped tons and tons of stone up there.
Has it worked?
Helicopter. I've not been up there, but I mean, at this time of year, probably not. I mean,
I quite liked Cutgate Pass, but it was long. I remember that.
It's a tough day.
It is tough.
Yeah, it's like 25 miles.
Yeah, it is tough.
I remember coming both times, or the multiple times I've done it. I've only done it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Coming back, the what's it called when you fully tank? You fully tank from like glucose. You're just like, I think it's called tanking.
Right.
But
we'll call it tanking.
When your muscles just start like twitching out,
Right.
you're just like,
Yeah.
just, if you've not eaten enough, and
Yes.
you've not kept, but if you eat when you get to that point, it's too late.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, you could slam in one of those gels or something like that.
It's too late.
Yeah,
it's too late. You've got to get it in before.
It's the glucose.
Yeah.
So that happened this week. So it's just other bits like that, really. Obviously, other things are just motoring on. But the most exciting thing for me at the moment is, like I say, this time of year. I'm looking forward to spring. Johnny's super segue. What I have been having is a bit of car trouble recently.
Yes.
It's pending car trouble, which means that I've noticed a noise start to develop. And I'm going to leave it.
I feel like you need to give the audience a little bit of background to your relationship with your cars.
Yeah, with the inside of them, with the outside of them, with all components involved, and I have had. So my relationship with cars is this: I've had some interesting cars.
Mate, your favourite car you've had of mine, your favourite car you've had for me, was your Mark III GTI.
Yes, it was a great little car.
Just such a great car.
And I wish I still had it, to be honest with you. Yeah. Funnily enough, where that van is that I took a video of for you, literally across the road is a beautiful example of one of those, and they look great. But the reason why is because my dad's a car dealer.
Yeah.
So I've always just like taken, free ones off
just
him.
Odd,
you know what I mean?
Like
exactly that. Or like with the car that I've got at the moment, the Blue Bullet. That was because I had a crash in my old car, and I just was like, oh, it's dead. And it was like basically the first one that was on the forecourt when I drove in with this bumper hanging off this car. I was like,
let's just list the current exterior damage to current car.
Current exterior damage. It's not massively extensive. Just looks worse than it is. So I have. The bumper is a little bit, I don't want to say hanging off, but
it's loose.
It's a little bit loose on the left-hand side, to the point where...
It's got like, it looks like it's had a bit of a stroke.
Yeah. And then the driver's side wing mirror has... It's the casing... The casing at its base has seen better days.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Is that all? I thought there was another little scuff somewhere.
No, that's all.
On one of the rear arches. No?
Well, I mean, there might be a scuff, I tell you what I did do was I reversed. It's difficult to know where to start with this car conversation, but we'll find out. Well, perhaps we start with crashes. And we can talk about crashes that we've had, because this particular car that I've got now, I had one of the worst, not in terms of how dangerous it was, but just dumb crashes I've ever had in my life. I was in an underground car park, and I was driving through it, and I just steered directly into one of those horrible H-shaped girder pillars. And just bang, just ate the whole corner of the car. It's ridiculous.
It's in that one.
In that one.
And you had it repaired.
Had it repaired.
Yeah. I think I do remember.
Had it repaired. I've not really had any.
I feel like if
crashes.
If you can find a photo of that, I could insert a picture.
Yeah.
Here. What time? Give me a timestamp. 14. No.
The timestamp is 1925.
Okay, 1925.
And George has got one as well. A picture of it.
I feel like I might have one.
Nice.
If you've sent it to me.
Yeah. The other crash I've had in that car, I reversed into the wall at home very, very lightly. That wasn't even a crash. And the other crash that I've had, a little bump, the other crash that I've had in that car was the reason why stroke bumper now. And it was about 2 years ago. This is the problem, you see. And we'll take that into the value bit in a bit. But what happened was I pulled up at some traffic lights, and it was a 2-lane traffic light, and I was looking at my lap for some unknown reason. There was no digital technology involved.
No
and
digital technology at all.
And the lane.
Just looking at your crotch.
Yes, I was just looking to make sure everything was as it should be. So I was, and then
2 meat, 1 veg.
2 meat, 1 veg, just about.
2 veg, 1 meat.
Yeah. 2 veg, 1 meat. Yeah. yeah. That's more like it. Yeah. So it was a 2-lane situation, but that traffic light went before mine. And it did that. I saw in the corner of my eye the cars were moving, so just started to move and just went into the back of somebody.
Yeah.
It was a brand new white 4 Series, and I was like, oh my God. Anyway, obviously crossed over the thing. My brain went, do I try and run? No, I can't do that.
No, you can't.
So pulled over. But what was funny about that was we swapped details, and then I called up my insurance company and said, listen, this has just happened, the insurance company's going to be getting in touch. And they said, right, okay. And they were like, do you want us to let you know what the outcome is? I was like, no, just deal with it. I'll sort it out. And then I had to call them for some reason. I can't remember what it was, but I called them anyway. I might have been talking about the premium. And then I said, oh yeah, but what about that crash? This was like a year later. I said, what about that crash? And they were like, oh no, nobody came and made a claim against it.
Asked.
Well, that, or because the girl had said, like, when the girl, she was like, I've literally just taken it off the forecourt today, and I was like, I bet she wasn't insured.
Didn't have insurance.
Devastated.
Winner for you.
Winner for me, not for her. For you. Because and I feel for the girl, because where the crash was, it was in one of those awkward little creases that BMW, that all cars have on their bumper. You know what I mean? So it would have been a new bumper. No. Devastated, mate.
Yeah.
But that's the only serious crash I've had. They're the only crashes that I've had. Just little knocks and bumps, but I've never had a big crash.
I've not had a crash, mate, since I had my 3 Series, going back probably 10 years now.
Yeah.
That's the last time I had a crash. And that was obviously doing the speed limit on the back roads of the Peak District.
Yes.
On the way home from work. Driving, knew the roads like the bottom of my hand. Bottom of my hand, back of my hand.
Yeah.
Nice medium speed bend where you can maintain that speed through the bend.
Yep.
Tucked in, car coming the other way, so you have to fully tuck in on the country roads.
Yeah.
And this guy was just in the middle of the road, and I was like trying to slow down from the national speed limit.
What were the conditions like?
I think dryish, and then ended up going onto the curb, got onto the grass verge, well onto the grass verge. Guy peels back, like it was like something out of film, just full skim.
Flipping heck, yeah.
At a good speed as well. Like, I would say the national speed limit.
Yeah.
For that stretch of road, which I think for a back road is like 60.
Yeah.
Is it? 50, 60? But doing that, I wasn't like going beyond.
Yeah.
Stopped.
Yeah.
Not sure if an airbag went off.
Yes.
Full peeling of my door. My door was peeled like back.
What, like gap?
No, but like the outer skin was peeled all the way back.
Yeah.
All my arch, wheel was knackered.
What car did he have?
Some shitty little Ford. It's not a shitty little Ford, but just an old Ford Focus.
Yes, yeah.
Old bloke. Doddery.
Yeah. Oh no.
So I've had prior to this, I've had quite a few crashes.
Yeah.
So I know what to do in an accident.
Yeah.
You know, I'm out with my phone.
Yeah.
Like, especially in that situation, because I was like, not my fault. Went cyclical at the guy.
Yeah.
I was like, what the expletive are you doing? You're on the wrong side of the road, mate. He's like, we had a back and forth.
Yeah.
I just thought, screw this guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
Photographed everything, photographed his car, photographed my car. Lost man top tip, if you have a car crash,
Yep.
whether it's your fault or not, make sure you get loads of photos, videos of the whole situation.
Yeah.
And especially
and
their car and the damage and where the paint and where the impacts are, because that really made a difference on this incident.
Right.
Also photographed the verge where I had 2 huge tyre tracks on the grass. So it was pretty obvious
that you were way over.
I was off the. I had to pull off the road to avoid having a front end with him. That'd have been a front end, mate, at 50, 60 mile an hour. That'd have been hectic.
Not good at all.
Not good at all.
Don't want to think about it.
And then so photographed it all. They would not admit liability. His car impacted mine behind or on my front wheel. So my argument was like, I was out the way for one anyway, but I was also trying to get out the way. He hit me. I didn't hit him because the damage on his car was on the front of the car. And then refused to pay. And the insurance company were like, oh, it's hard because on back roads, whether it's narrow, we usually go a 50-50. They want to do a 50-50. And I was like, no, I'm not doing a 50-50. I was like, this is when you're like, what, must be late 20s. It will have been because it was when we got married.
Yeah.
So late 20s, so over 10 years ago. So I was like, I can't afford to have a Sky. This is the first time my premium, which we can come on to in a minute, premiums, but it were like £200, mate, on that Beamer. It were like, so cheap. And I was thinking, oh God, I've got like 7 years, no claims. I don't want all this. Anyway, another top tip, pay for the extra financial, there's a box that says like legal services as an extra.
Oh.
It's like 20 quid.
Yeah.
Pay for that legal. Because if I hadn't have had that, they wouldn't have.
So you would have.
I would have had to pursue it.
Yeah.
But because I paid for that, they were like, okay, well, you've got the legal cover, so we'll take them to court. Anyway, the day of court, got a message, they've caved and paid.
Of course they have.
And I did a huge report with all my photos, I did diagrams, and it just proves that, good will prevail.
It does, but it's also that good will prevail, but aren't the insurance companies just a bunch of evil bastards as well? They'll do anything to wriggle out of it.
Well, theirs was, and mine, I guess, they kind of want the easy option, which is weird because I saved them a load of money. Like we got all the legal fees back. I basically made them money.
Yeah.
Except they had to fix my car. No, they would have had to fix my car.
Yeah, of course they would have,
It's like a $5,000 bill to fix it because it was like a new door, full paint all the way down, new alloy wheel. That was the last crash I had. Yeah. I've had a few other stupid ones like you, looking at my crotch.
Yeah.
Like I had one where I hit a little Mini.
A what?
A little Mini.
Right, yeah.
Like in the and tried to miss it last minute, but caught their wheel arch.
Yes.
And
I tell you who's had a bad one is Will. He had that horrible crash at the crossroads at the bottom of Thingy, didn't he?
Foggy, dangerous crossroads.
That was like crossroads sideswipe.
That's a bad spot, that, actually.
That was a bad one. When he sent a picture of that, you were like, my God, mate, that was lucky to get away from that. I think... I haven't had any stupid...
The only thing I've done since then was I actually curbed the alloy of our current car, which I've not curbed the wheel for ages.
Yeah.
I'm quite careful. I like to wash my car.
Yeah.
I've got 2 buckets. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
I've got drying cloths. I've got a little bit of detailing stuff.
Yeah.
I'm Sunday afternoon, sunny day, quite happily spend a couple of hours cleaning the cars.
Yes.
Making them look nice.
Yeah.
I've got snow foam's a joy to use.
Right. Describe snow foam.
It's a foam that comes out, covers the car, gets really foamy.
Nice.
Leave it on it, and then you jet wash it, and it literally
washes
it off. Like you can do a foam wash wash in 20 minutes
Yeah.
just by, and it doesn't, it's not clean, but in winter, I mean, there's no point, I don't think there's any point going clean,
No.
is there? But it's like, it takes all the rough stuff off.
Yeah. You touched on insurance premiums for a minute then. Have you noticed, I think my insurance premium, it's not a big deal, don't really care, but I think it was 48 quid a month last year and it's like 62 quid a month this year or something like that. And it's funny how these things just seem to creep up and creep up and creep up.
I like to pay yearly.
Yeah. But your overall premium must be more year on year.
Yeah, mate. I mean,
why?
like going back to that Beamer, 200 quid.
Yeah.
Then when
But this is, I'm talking about in the same car with no changes to my drive.
Well, you should try looking around. Have you shopped
It's the whole thing around, apparently it's because you're paying for uninsured drivers, because they still have to pay out in certain circumstances, and that's why the
I tell you why premiums have gone up, and this links into COVID. Premiums have gone up because the cost of fixing cars has gone up.
Right. Okay.
So the hangover of COVID.
That makes sense.
So parts. So Ginny's mum and dad, they got hit. I think it took them over 6 months to fix Ginny's dad's Subaru.
What?
Because of parts, they couldn't get the parts.
Oh right, okay,
They couldn't get. It wasn't labour. It was parts, mate. So one of the main reasons premiums have gone up is because the lack of parts and getting hold of them.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, one of my pals, he's got a an Audi e-tron. Like an electric one, right? Nice.
An Audi e-tron.
Audi e-tron.
Yeah.
Mate, he had a little. I think he got it or something, and I remember him saying to me, "It were months. It were months, mate. Again, like last year." So that's why the main reason why premiums have gone up is the cost of fixing.
That does make
sense. And also
sense.
linked in with they reckon like labour costs and stuff. I think they've just put
taken
prices,
an opportunity.
Loads of companies have.
I seem to see that all over the place. Even just like silly things like snacks in a petrol station. Every time I go in there, they seem to be 15p more expensive.
Yeah.
But another lost man top tip, probably more of a quick tip.
Quick tip
is talking about things that you should tick. If you're ever hiring a car or hiring a van, get the waiver. And talking about crashes, I've been in that position in a car park.
I've been in that position.
In an IKEA car park, in fact. You guys were in the biggest van that I could buy.
Biggest van in the world.
Yeah, just pulling out of a car parking space, and you just hear it go. That was
one of those days where today I'm going to not only move all of my shit from one house to my new house, I'm also going to go to IKEA and buy a load of furniture for that house.
Yeah, on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Because, I do stuff like that. I leave things to the very last minute and then do everything in a very small, concentrated period, space of time.
I got hit in Corsica but in a rental. Mm-hmm. It cost me over £1,000.
It cost you because of the thing.
£1,000.
Oh my
I didn't
God.
have insurance. Well, I just had normal.
Didn't have the waiver. Killer.
So he
always get the waiver.
Hit me in the arse.
Yeah, his fault.
Trying to overtake.
Yeah.
And then I think I did panic a little bit because I was like, he's going to die.
Yeah.
Like, they're mad, the drivers.
Yeah.
So I kind of pulled in and slowed down.
Yeah.
He was obviously looking.
Yeah.
And it just drove straight into the back of us.
Nuts.
And it cost us over £1,000, mate.
That's
it was
horrible.
Ridiculous. But, lost man top tip, if you're renting a car, and I'll have to, well, we don't have a social presence yet, do we?
No.
But Ginny, don't get it from the insurance company. You can get it like from a website.
Right.
It's like a third party.
Right.
And it's about the same price, but it covers you for a full year.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
So just
I think you've told me about it before.
Get third party.
That is the flex, yeah.
Get third party. What's that called?
I don't know, but we'll put it in the notes and also maybe flash up a screenshot. Here.
Probably forgot.
Yeah. That's at 34.59. That's interesting, and there's a nice
excess waiver. That's go on then.
here to go into road rage, which is always everyone's favourite car topic. And did you have road rage with said guy? How did that unfold? Did you pull over? You know, what was the deal?
Well, when he took my door off.
Well,
that yes, very
the Corsica one.
Yeah, he was French or Italian, so that was just a linguistic nightmare.
Yeah.
But I think when I was younger, my road rage I had a strong road rage game.
Yes.
And I don't endorse it.
No.
It is. Well, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? Which is kind of why we decided to do this podcast today.
Yeah.
Was that people get so pissed off.
It's hilarious
in the car. But then I was saying to you that when you actually think about it, surely that driving a car is actually quite complex. Like you've got a lot of information.
It's like sucking up a lot of your subliminal memory zone.
Yeah,
isn't it?
you've got to learn. You've got to drive this. You've got to function this vehicle. Yeah. And at the same time, things are coming at you.
Yeah.
Lights are moving.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that your stress hormones are already fully elevated.
Yeah.
You are definitely up there. And then, if you've had a shit day.
Yeah.
Which is when I notice my road rage level is higher.
Yeah.
Like if you've had a shit day, you then seem to have zero fuse. It's just like.
But is yeah, definitely 100%. And even, but I kind of find myself getting in the car, and sometimes I have to stop myself basically being a dick because someone will do something completely, not their fault. They pull out in front of you. Not so much anymore. You're right. It was more so when I was younger. But someone will kind of pull out in front of you or do something, and you kind of find yourself doing the head shake.
Yeah.
The worst.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
The one thing that does really get my. I'm trying to think of a good
pecker up.
Yeah, not pecker up. It's more annoys me is slow driving.
Yes.
And I don't mean everybody needs to be flying around.
People who drive 30 miles an hour in a 50 zone are just knobs.
It should be. It probably is an offence.
No, it is. If you do speeding courses. You find out, and when you did your highway code as well, your theory test, it's illegal to do less than the speed limit in the speed limit area.
You should be aiming for the speed limit.
Unless the traffic's moving in that way or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's silly things like, you don't do a lot of motorway driving, but I drive on the motorway every day pretty much. And even just like when somebody undertakes you, it's a small thing, makes no difference whatsoever, but there's still part of me that just goes, oh, can't believe he just fucking undertook me. But I very, very quickly just kind of go back to normal. Yeah. But I had one recently where I was on the motorway. This guy, I've never seen anybody. I was scared because what happened was I was driving on the motorway doing the speed limit, and then this guy comes up behind me doing his version of the speed limit as well in the fast lane. And he's right up behind me. It's dangerous what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so, but I can't move over because of the traffic in that lane.
I like to annoy those people though. I like to let them sit there until it's, I always do the speed limit, like 70. I happily sit at 70. To be honest, there was a time when you may have blurred that line. But now, with on the motorway, with all the average speed cameras, you never know where there is a camera now. It's actually easier just to stick it on 70 and sit at 70 on cruise control.
Yeah. I carry on now.
Yeah.
Okay, right, yeah. So I'm there, and he gets up behind me, and I can't shift over because of the traffic in the other lane. Right up my backside, exactly the same as you. I'm like, I'm not moving. I'm going to stay right here. Got carried on. The traffic moved. He then went to go in the other lane to come and undertake me. It's going high speed, so I was like, I'll just increase my speed a little bit. Anyway, so then the traffic starts to stack up in that lane. I've got clear view.
What was he in? Do you know?
BMW.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But I love a BMW. So
Yeah.
I disagree
I like
with
the
that.
cars.
We'll come on to this.
I like the cars, but
I disagree.
I think it's sometimes. Anyway, yeah, we'll come on to that. Anyway, so cut a long story short, moves back over behind me. Then I get past the row of traffic and I pull over into the other lane, into the middle lane. Yeah. And I just put my finger up like this. Don't even look forward. Just put my finger up. I'm just carrying on driving like that. And he drives past me. He gets about 3/4 of his car in front and then sort of sets back, winds down his window. This is going 70 miles an hour.
Did he pull out a weapon?
Starts screaming. And then I'm like, what's going on? So it's, the motorway is quite quiet now. So then I pull over into the thing. He comes over into the middle lane, then starts like darting the front of his car at mine as if he's trying to ram me off the road, screaming, all kinds of swear words, calling me all kinds of things, being very kind of like, it was frightening, put it that way. It was a huge overreaction. And at first, I started laughing at him.
Yeah, that's always a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of almost winds people up more, doesn't it?
It wasn't that. It was.
He could have rammed you, mate.
This is what I'm saying.
He could have followed you home.
This is the point I'm making, because
you don't know who's on the motorway. Then this is what Ginny said to me in Corsica. She said, people in Corsica deal with things.
Yeah.
So don't get into fights.
Yeah.
Not that I would ever get into fights anyway. But you know what I mean. Don't bait people.
Yeah.
So
carry on. Yeah. So that happened, and I'm thinking the laugh wasn't like laughing at him. It was like a nervous like what's going to happen here? So I ended up pulling onto the hard shoulder and parking up, and he just razzed off then. But I was thinking, yeah, exactly like you said, like, what lengths is this guy going to go to? But then another one that I had was where it was just this was a funny one, was I was driving from somewhere, and I moved over the lanes. It was coming up to a traffic lights, and I moved over the lanes, and the woman behind me had to slow down because we're coming to a stop at a traffic lights more than she'd anticipated doing. So then she weaved her car round and wound down her window, and just started going sick out the window. So I wound down my window, and I was like, God, are you all right? Have you had a bad day? She was like, I've not had a bad day. You've just made my day terrible. I was having a great day until I came across you. And
she was definitely having a bad day.
And I had Ronnie in the back of the car, and I just wound down the window, and Ronnie just poked his head out, and she just went, look at, anyway, as I was, God, look how cute he is. Right, I'm still really pissed off. And then just drove off, and I just thought, Ronnie, the great diffuser.
Yeah, pets do that though.
Yeah.
They make you smile. Well, mate, I think it's just. I just think it's a tense situation in cars.
It is a tense situation.
And if you've had a bad day anyway, it just people seem to. It really must just. It's an easy way to get under people's skin. Like it's just a stress.
And you're in your metal box.
Yeah, and it's almost like a keyboard warrior. Yeah. So like you can feel like you can swear and abuse people.
Yes.
Because you're not actually coming into contact with.
Well, they're almost like not real. It's not real, is it? It feels like a simulation. But I can remember when I was in my 20s, my approach to it always was I'd go full angry.
Yes.
Like, stop the car, get out the car mode.
Yeah.
And then, put them in a position where they've got to make a choice. And luckily, it's never been John getting his face smashed in.
Yeah, because, mate, I used to be the same. Stop car.
Yeah.
If somebody was
throw the door open.
Not necessarily my fault, but if somebody was going cyclical, I'd stop car, get out.
Yeah.
And then they drive off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is because most people don't want the conflict, but they just want to shout and abuse you.
I'll happily wind down my window and interact with a road rage driver.
I just tend to ignore them now.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose I drive far more conservatively now, that I don't find myself in as many of
situations.
And I said to you the other day, I was like, because I live out in the sticks, and I commute through the sticks,
Yes.
I really don't very often sit in traffic, and I feel like, because I'm not, you know what I mean, I'm not in a population centre, I just don't have as many altercations as you do.
Yeah, city driving or you know, on the outskirts of the city, it is. The traffic can be ridiculous sometimes, and I think that adds to everything.
Yeah, of course it does. People just want to get home, and it's just
like I would prefer to do a 50-mile round trip rather that took the same time as a 10-mile traffic trip.
That is what I do.
Yeah.
I do a 50-mile round trip,
Right.
which is exactly the same time every day.
Yeah.
And if I nail it, I can, you know, cut 5-10 minutes off, because it's all just empty. I very rarely, like, my traffic is a tractor,
Yes.
or something like that, or a road closed because of its collapse, or whatever. So
for me, my car history has been the way that it has, but I've never, as much as I love cars, I've never been able to justify in my own head the monthly expense of a nice new car. And I don't know whether it's because my dad's a car dealer and I grew up around nice cars, and they do have the same appeal, but I don't really, as I say, for me, the cost rate ratio, and I'm weighing it up in my head, and I think to myself, God, like 400 quid a month.
yeah,
I'm just not interested in. And then you've got to think the insurance and for what.
I would you consider yourself like a petrol head? Not really.
I don't know. What would be the definition of a petrol head?
Well,
I think you're more of a petrol head than I am.
I really like cars. I've done a couple of track days.
Yeah.
I would say I've never owned like a really quick car.
Right.
Like, I would love to own a quick car, but I do, and I probably spend more than you on cars.
You do.
But I also do struggle with that, like, the cost.
Yes.
Like, dream car for me. See, dream car for me isn't like achievable. Dream car for me is like an M2, BMW M2.
Okay, let's look at that. So achievable car, dream car, M2.
M2. Unachievable. I would go with a Porsche.
I think I'm a Porsche.
A 911. You know, everybody says how great they are. Well, there must be a reason for that. You know, usable everyday car. They sound great as well. The Porsches I've heard in real life, they really do sound great.
Here's a good one. So I agree with you on the Porsche. On the
or an SL Merc, you know, the AMG GT.
Yes,
that's such a good, like a 2016. That's such a good-looking car.
Yeah.
And they sound vicious.
Would you have a modern 911, or would you have a
modern? Yeah. I'm a big. I love old cars.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I feel like we've lived through the pinnacle of cars.
Yeah.
I think we are now. I don't know. I think like the 80s, 90s, zeros.
Well, that's going to be my next question, which is, what's your favourite 90s car? We'll come on to that in a minute. So you wouldn't have, like, obviously, speaking about 90s cars, that 94 Porsche Turbo, you know, with the big wing, but
I've just heard that they're not livable.
No, super uncomfortable.
And I would want to.
I've driven one, and they're heavy. They're super heavy
and twitchy. You know.
Yeah, very twitchy.
And I would want a car to, like, I wouldn't want a garage pony. You know. I would. Anything I own, I like. You know what I'm like. I like, if you're not using it, I'd sell it.
Yeah.
So like, you want to use it and use it every day.
Yes.
So it needs to be super usable.
Yeah.
And I don't know, unless you maybe if I'd be interested in like a bit of a project car that is more something a bit along those lines. But general day-to-day cars, you want them to be usable, don't you? You don't, which is why I think 911s are so popular.
Yeah.
M2s I think are a great, like, bang for the buck. You get a lot of car for the money.
I think my most achievable. What's your dream
car?
Achievable car. Well, like I say, the Porsche 911 is definitely if I had that sort of money, that's where I'd be spending it. Yes, a red Ferrari, all those kind of things, but I just think the Porsche's actually better looking, but also more practical.
Understated as well.
Understated. Just sexy, just gorgeous car.
What kind of person are you that needs the flash? Unless you own it to put it on track. So, like, say you've got some badass Ferrari and you track it or something, then respect. If
you're balling your brains out and you want to get the baller, the big old baller piece of kit because it fits whoever, whatever you're trying to project, then fine. But I think,
Yeah, but the reality is, mate, is a lot of people with those types of cars aren't balling. Small penises. Aren't balling. Like what I mean by that is they're all on tick. They're all on finance.
Yeah.
And statistically, the majority of cars are on finance.
Well, I think that's what does my head in about cars in general. Like, I don't owe any money on my car at all.
I heard a great quote, and I can't remember the exact words of it, but it was like, why do we idolize and look up to the person that's got this brand new, I think it was an American as well, like brand new Ford Ranger Ford Lightning F-150, like 110 grand truck.
Yeah.
And we kind of look down on the guy that's got a 20 grand truck, but he owns it, it's well maintained. He owns it outright. Yeah. He owns nothing on it.
Well, this is the status game, isn't it? Which is another book. Well, that's probably a bit of a lost man tip, isn't it? To not get caught up in the status game.
Well, I think that was one thing I wanted to talk about to do with cars. Is like, where do you sit on the kind of like car as a status symbol?
Well, I'm looking at new cars at the moment, and I'm kind of thinking. I was looking just last night, in the sort of the 20-ish grand range, something like that, and I'm thinking to myself, because I've got to think about it practically, in terms of the dog and all that kind of stuff, and how and just being realistic with me as well. Like, I beat things up, and I'm not like that, spend 2 hours on a Sunday detailing the car. I'll go for ages, and then I'll just pay a valeter to do it.
Quick fiver.
25 quid it cost me the other day. So I need to be mindful of that. Well, a few different things. The Defenders are a good idea, but they're expensive to run. But what happens with this train of thought is I go around all these different things, and then I just land back at getting a van.
I think you should get a van.
So there's
because of the dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think you should get a van, a little caddy, and
also just as I say, the way that I use it. Well, the one that I'm looking at actually is. Love them or hate them, this Vauxhall, I forgot what it's called
Vivaro
now.
Or something.
Not the big one, the small one, but it's not as small as a Caddy, it's quite long.
Like the Mercedes Vito size.
Yes.
It's like in between a T5 and like in between the T or the Custom, in between the Ford Custom and the VW Caddy kind
exactly
of size.
that. So anyway, but the status game bit, I think. Yeah, I look at Audis. I look at because this was the other thing I was looking at was the. I tell you what car I loved, going back to probably I want to say 2000 noughties, mid noughties, was the original A4 Avant Allroad. You know what I mean? The one with the sort of the.
Like the off-road pack.
Yeah. That was mega.
Mate, my 2000, we'll come back to current cars, but I am BMW through and through.
Yeah.
Love Beamers. We've had quite a few of them now.
Yes.
I've had a 1, 3 and 5.
Yes.
And I would have a full BMW garage if I could. I think BMW styling is, I think they have destroyed the last 10 years. They look brilliant. Especially that last generation of BMW. I think that was the absolute sweet spot. Reliable, never had a problem with any of the Beamers we've owned. They've always been bulletproof. But I really like an E46 3 Series, so like 2000, 2005, M3. Like my probably dream garage for cars would be an E46 M3, an M2 competition, and then either a M3 touring or just like a normal touring, just like a normal estate, like either a 3 or 5 Series estates.
Yeah.
I love the Tourings, mate. They look so good. A Touring, an estate, estates look so much better than SUVs. I've got a big thing on that.
Yeah.
I would always go for an estate over an SUV. But what I was going to say about current cars, mate, I feel like I've gone through the whole, like, I've never bought a really expensive car on finance, but I've certainly, for me, at that particular time, spent too much money on a car. Like, I had that Impreza, which, when I started teaching, was they were like 25-30% of my income just on my car payment.
Ridiculous.
There's a top tip for you. If you're thinking about maintenance, always go for a high number vehicle, like production numbers. Because my Scooby, parts for that were insane. I smashed the wing mirror off. I call it the wing mirror test now. How much is the wing mirror for that? It were like 600 quid for the wing mirror. Ridiculous. But
I can remember one of my dad's forecourt, an X5, getting broken into, and they just broke into it and surgically removed the wing mirrrs, like properly surgically removed it. It was like, why have they done that? And then you go to have a look how much shine, you're like, well, there you go.
So I've done that, and I've spent a lot, and for a long time after that, and I didn't want a car on finance or on a lot of finance, and I kind of like backed off a little bit, and I had a few cheaper cars just because it was like my truck I owned outright, didn't have any finance on that. I think I saved up a little bit, and then I think my mum chucked me $1,000 or $2, and I paid it back in a couple of months, and then that were it. I just had my truck outright. But then I was, with the COVID thing, I was very lucky that the van I had at the time, my Ford Transit Custom, I managed to sell that for nearly what I paid for it, like after a few years, because of COVID.
Which is amazing.
And then I managed to put a load of money down on a brand new one. So that's the only ever brand new car I've ever had, was a new Transit Custom, Trail Edition, black. Well, mint, loved it. And then I got rid of that to get the Crafter. And they paid me, because of COVID, I sold it before this little dip that we're in now. They paid me back 11 grand.
What? Why?
Because the value of them have gone up so much, and the prices of new ones. Like, I paid 38 for that new on finance. Mate, well,
so what were the payments for that each month?
I put down 3.5.
Right.
Because I'd made a load on my van. And then I put down 3.5, and the payments were something like 300 and something quid.
Right.
Nothing. Really, pretty cheap. And then I'd given
See, that's expensive in my head.
I think 300 is. Sorry, it was 280. That is good. I think 300 is about where I'm comfortable sitting. And then I sold that, and they gave me 11 grand. I traded that in, and I just sold it back to them, and they gave me 11 grand for it.
We'll see.
That's crazy, isn't it? So the finance company paid me 11 grand. How mad's that? And then obviously we bought the Crafter, and then we lost a bit of money on Gins's old 5 Series, because that was as it was starting to tail off when we bought the Crafter, but vans were still quite high then. And then now, mate, I've been thinking about getting out of the 1 Series. We're nearly a year into that PCP. That obviously we took that out pretty recently. That cost us £300 a month. We only put down, I think, £1,000 or something, and we paid like 20 something for it. 20 what? 1, 2, and mate, it's £300 because the cost of finance is so high.
Yes.
And I phoned them up the other day, and they were like, "Oh, you owe 19, and it's worth 16 on trading." So full negative equity.
Yeah.
Negative equity.
So what are you going to do?
I don't want to pay into it anymore, so we're just going to hold on to it.
Yeah.
Just going to hold on to it for a minute.
Yeah. See, this is it from a money point of view. It just feels like it doesn't make sense to me. The whole
cars are money pits, mate. There is no way. Like, we've had this weird, like, people have made a bit of money of recent on cars. That was again supply chain issues.
Yeah.
And loads of free government money floating around.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen again, is it?
No.
So whatever you do, prepare to lose a load of money on it.
I think feels like so what we've done here, we've covered cars we've owned, the value of cars, purchase value, road rage, worst drivers. Is there a worse driver? Is it true that BMW drivers, because that's kind of like the popular thing, isn't it?
I don't think BMW, maybe they've got a bad rep, and maybe it's a little bit just. That BMW bad rep comes from the E46 M3,
right,
where they were bought by London city boys,
right,
driving around coked off their head. So that's probably, I feel like that's where the BMW comes, like the bad BMW driver comes from. But I don't think so. I think it's
anybody who's, kind of, it's just arrogant people, isn't it?
Like,
and they're made more arrogant by the fact that they've got a nice Beamer or a nice Audi or a nice Jag. I really like the Jags, by the way. That's a point to make. If thinking about achievable cars, I really like the Jag.
Love a Jag, mate.
All the new styling on the 4x4s, the sports, the F Pace is lovely. I've forgotten what the 4x4s are called now.
No idea.
There's the E-Pace, and then it's... I can't remember what it's called. But I've been in one.
I think isn't it Summit Pace? The I-Pace?
It's
the I-Pace.
Maybe it is I-Pace.
J-Pace? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
they look well, mate. They look good.
Beautiful, lovely inside. Everything.
Yeah.
I think
I like those XKs.
What Jags? Yeah. The
like
originals.
The Astons.
Yeah.
No, like the kind of 2000 ones.
Yeah.
They look mega.
Yeah,
they look
do.
mega. Those XKRs are banging.
And the inside of them is just that level above. Just that little bit of class. It's not Aston Martin money for the piece.
Mate,
for the
you can pick them up so cheap now.
Those XKRs were
I tell you what, there's a good. There's like
6-litre one.
You can pick up some stupid cars, like older cars, at good money. But the problem is, you still need to have that mindset of like, that's a 60 or an 80 or 100 grand car when it comes to fixing it.
Yes.
Because it's the parts and the running costs of them.
I was talking to a lad about this the other day, and he's bought a Jeep Compass, and he was saying that he likes it. He said, but he goes to what you were saying before about volume of production, because he was saying the parts are just insane. And it's not even a particular, it's not a bad car, but you're definitely shooting yourself in the foot with something like that. I think achievable cars for right now, it's either a van or a sort of a 40,000-50,000 mile like you say, Audi estate or something like that. But we're just going to wait and see. As I said I'd drive this car until it died, and that's what I'm going to do.
Is that what you're planning to do?
But it's taking a bit longer to die than I thought it was going to. I think a nice nostalgic kind of thing to sort of like wind up on is favourite cars from the 90s, because like you say, that was the best time for me. Yeah. If you think about...
mate, I wanted a Nova so bad.
Novas were hectic.
I wanted like a Max...
The GSI
I wanted
Nova.
like a Max Power Nova.
Yeah.
More than anything. When I was like 14, I was just drooling over Max Power Novas.
Yeah. I can remember my dad having a couple of them, a red... SRI, was it SRI or GSE?
I
forget now.
They were mint, mate.
Lovely.
I loved all those cars.
All of those cars, and you see them now.
106 GTI.
Yeah. The 206.
Was it the 206?
206 GTI. Yeah.
What was the? No, I thought there was a little.
There might have been might have been a little one, but the rally one was the 205. 205 GTI. My mate rolled one of those coming down a hill in Bramwell. The classics, obviously, like the Renault 5, all these different kinds of things.
Mate, Renault 5. Oh, mate, have you seen they released the new Renault 5?
No.
It's electric.
Okay, is it good?
Don't know, because they've just released a picture of it. Mate, it looks mint. Yeah, have a look at it.
Have a quick look.
It looks mint. They are, but again, electric. I tell you what, electric is a whole nother debate that we could get onto.
Yeah,
mate, electric car market has tanked. Do you know there's Porsche Taycans that are? Have you seen that Mark McCann?
No.
He's done a video recently where you know 120 grand.
They look ace.
Yeah, mate, they look mint.
But the electric car market's only got about 10 years left in it. You know, it's
mate,
just...
I think electric cars are nowhere near the future now.
They are, mate. They are 1,000,000% nowhere near the future.
And I think there's been this like. I tell you what I saw today. One of those newer Lotus electric SUVs for the first time. Mate, it looked amazing.
You mentioned the Taycan before. From what I've heard and from what I've read, the Taycan is amazing.
Yeah, great cars, mate. But I tell you what, if you've bought one of them for 120 grand or whatever, they're now brand new. We Buy Any Car, we're offering 60 grand for one.
Yeah.
With 0 miles. So people will be coming out of finance deals on those, I bet they're 50 grand in debt.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? What do you even do with that?
Swallow it.
How?
Regret it. Just to go back to the 90s car thing, you know, you can do the XR3i's and all those, and they're all amazing. And when you know, these days when you see an XR3i, because 9 times out of 10 it'll be one that somebody's fucking minted off, you know, and they are mega. And you think, you know, it's in the red, and and it's just off the forecourt, probably done about 30,000 miles. But my favourite from that era was the Lancia Delta. I was
just going to say that.
Integrale.
Yeah.
And I even liked it in that banana yellow that they did.
Yeah.
And it was, and I never forget this.
Red or black for me.
There was a guy, I've completely forgotten his name, but you can imagine what he did for a living at 16 years old, driving around in one of those. And I remember getting in it and thinking, this is the best thing in the world. And if you were to, I mean, they've got to be, they're probably even rarer than.
Yeah, I think they're pretty rare.
Yeah.
Now. Like I bet you're looking at like 40 grand for a decent one. I bet
you are. Yeah.
But I suppose, do you know what? I suppose if you are going to put your money anywhere, and you can't afford the maintenance, then I do feel like once cars kind of hit that depreciation curve and they're actually like on the way up. So like your old Mark III GTI,
modern classic,
that now would actually, I reckon, be worth more than what you paid for
100%, it would be.
And if you'd have held on to it, it would, you know, like it kind of just starts to come back up a little bit.
Yeah, my dad's got a few. He's got a few really interesting ones, cars that I've never heard of before, but that are like mint, super low mileage. They're in that classic category, so they're in the kind of the stable or, you know, appreciating stage. But yeah, the whole classic car thing is a thing as well. Modern classic.
My kind of issue with if you were going to go, oh, do you know what? I'm going to have a modern classic. Is maintenance. Nothing pisses me off more than the car not being functional.
I think if it, yeah. I know
even at the moment, mate, I've got to do the brake pads on the 1 Series.
Yeah,
it's like that's annoying. For me,
take it to the thing.
I know, no, I'm gonna. But even just that.
Oh, God, yeah, but everything about cars is annoying, really. Yeah. Filling up cars is annoying. Paying for petrol in cars is annoying. Driving cars and having road rage is annoying.
Can you imagine having to sit? Can you imagine driving an electric car and having to sit and like, oh, I've now got a 45-minute wait whilst it fills up.
Oh, mate, don't, honestly.
Imagine having to...
I think, and I almost laugh from afar at people who've kind of like... Not everybody who's got an electric car, because everybody's motives are different, but everybody's motivations are different, but it's those... The vegan... social justice warrior types who've got an electric car because they think it's the right statement to make. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're a bunch of dicks.
I feel like if you live in a city, you've got somewhere to charge it at home, little nipping around, perfect.
Great.
For any other purpose, even if you only do one long journey a month, I could not imagine the pain of sitting and filling up with electricity.
Here's a small debate, because again, thinking about getting a new car, I think I'm done with manual gearboxes now until I get one that warrants me to drive a manual gearbox.
I love both.
Yeah.
But certainly lean into manuals.
Yeah.
I think it's enjoyable to, like, you know, rag your car home the odd time.
Yes.
You know, and I think part of the enjoyment of driving is certainly a manual gearbox.
Yeah.
And a flappy paddle isn't the same. And also it doesn't always do exactly what you want it to do.
No.
When you want to do it.
No.
But saying that, sat in traffic, it's a must.
Isn't it weird that there's no, you know, that's just what people in America do.
What, they're more...
Well, they're primary tests.
Yes.
Like over here, you would have to ask for just an electric test. Just automatic test.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, primary...
I think they'll get rid of that, though.
Their primary... No.
I think my sister's only got an automatic...
Yeah. I know a few people that got that. Well, no, in America, the primary, and I'm going to stick a completely made-up percentage here, but to illustrate a point, is 90% automatic drivers.
Yeah, I think it's more popular.
It is way...
But it's on the way out here now. Like
manuals.
Yeah. So like on that new M2 that came out, you have so before you always paid for an auto.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like an optional extra to have a manual. So that shows the numbers that they're selling in manuals.
I tell you, here's another one. So my mate who's got a Tesla had the X, is it Model X or something like that? The big one.
Yeah.
Anyway, came round to getting a renewal on it. All future productions of that model are going to be left-hand drive only.
That's annoying.
Even in this country.
Yeah.
So he's had to go for the one that's a little bit down from
Cutting
that.
costs.
And he said...
maybe.
He said that the difference between the two can be defined by the hardware's not as good as the Model X. I think it's a Model Y.
Range? Isn't the X like the big boy one?
What he said is that the hardware's not as good, but the software's a lot better.
Ah, see.
So like all the cool, weird and wonderful stuff that it can do, including make fart noises when you accelerate.
That's so weird, isn't it? It's so random. So random.
Just a marketing tool.
Yeah, it is. The car's got no personality.
No, it has no personality. I don't get it.
There's no personality other than the look of it.
Well, the look of it looks nice, but I tell you what is possibly the worst looking car on the road at the moment, and I pulled up next to one the other day, and you know when there's certain cars that you know just have a certain band of people that buy them, is the Hyundai Ioniq.
I quite like those, mate.
No,
I quite like those.
No, well then you're in that bracket.
I think they look all right.
Wait. I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, because knowing you as I do, I don't think that you would think that that's a good looking car.
At it. But should we wrap this up?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
Top tips takeaway about cars. Numerous top tips.
Yeah.
What were they?
So, always tick the waiver box when you're renting a car.
Yes.
Always add legal protection when you're taking out your car insurance.
Yes.
Whenever buying a car, always get one that has been produced in volume, because you want to be able to get hold of parts in the future. Try and get out of the habit of getting into road rage, particularly in Corsica. And don't buy into the status game.
Yes.
You know, like
don't buy into that status.
Don't buy into the status game. Electric cars.
Yeah, if you own an electric car, you're making a loss when you come to sell that. You're making a big L. There's no the price of electric cars is just tanking. It's
100%. Porsche over Ferrari every day of the week.
Yeah.
Where does Aston Martin fit in that though? You know, and Aston's a pretty.
Oh, I like
pretty
it.
Serious.
I think they're nice.
Okay, right.
For me, Porsche, Aston, Ferrari.
Right. Okay. Right. So if we've got Aston, Porsche, Lamborghini, Maserati, or Ferrari, what's your hierarchy? Go.
Porsche, Aston, Lambo.
Yeah.
The other one you said,
Maserati,
Ferrari.
at the end.
I'm not a Ferrari person.
Do you know what? I think I'd agree with that.
I'm probably a bit more analytical. I like things to work and just not a. There's loads of stuff about Ferrari, mate, that we could go on and on about.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it. We'll do a car time back too.
But I think that the main thing is that they're just a bit wanky.
Yeah.
They're fucking. They're flipping mega. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, mega bits of kit. But do they always work? Are they as reliable as a Porsche?
They're beautiful. They're fast. They're great. But you look like a twat.
Yeah.
Cheers, bro.
See you later. Bye.
This is the Lost Man podcast, where we embrace the challenges and triumphs of being a modern man in the middle years. Join us as we explore the rugged path of growing older, wiser and bolder in a world that's constantly changing. I'm your host, John.
And I'm Matt. And together we'll navigate this uncharted territory with grit, humour and a whole lot of heart.